And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back. Hey. To another cracking installment.
Woohoo!
That was preemptive of the intro clap, guys. How many times?
What? Am I supposed to clap?
But with me today is Carmen Murray. Carmen, welcome back, man.
Thanks, man. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
I love this energy. What a great way to start the day, huh?
It is.
No response from this side, and I walk out.
Cool. So this is a new segment. You're the first guest on this particular segment called Woman of Steel. It's a play of Man of Steel, Superman. but it's now
Whoa,
Woman
man.
of Steel. It's also Women's Month. And this is why we're kind of doing this. So I've reached out across the interwebs, got inundated with recommendations. And I personally know you. Obviously, you co-hosted the show over Christmas, which is one of our most popular shows. So thought I'd get you back. And obviously, you've been following your kind of progression and stuff. So who is Carmen Murray? What you're all about? Give us the headline.
Okay, so Carmen Murray, as a human being, I am a purpose activist. I am a fearless woman activist, and I very much stand for empowering women, but not the cliched way. It's really making a difference. In terms of business, I ventured on my own about a year ago, started Booyah Modern Marketing Services. It has morphed quite from what I thought it was going to be to what it is now. And it's all about getting businesses future fit in a robust way, in an unorthodox way, and really, really pushing the boundaries, breaking the molds, and doing things very, very differently. And using a combination of my background in technology, data science, mobile, custom experiences, and merging that as a fusion in helping businesses to get future fit.
Great. Couldn't wait for that, too.
Oh, and I have a podcast.
And the podcast, yes.
Ha! Should we change this to the Carmen Murray Show?
You should totally call it Carmen. By the way, you certainly do things differently on the Carmen Murray Show.
Yes, I am a bit crazy. It's not for everybody. Let me put it that way.
But that's actually great, right? Because the thing is, it's very easy just to put two marks in front of someone, and like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But it's a fundamentally different thing to produce a show that's completely and radically different.
Correct.
And that's what I like. Kudos to you. It's like why we've actually stopped doing Injustice League stuff, because when you're talking about the death of someone's like husband, and then you want them to smash things with a baseball bat, doesn't really gel. But it's this whole idea of branded entertainment, and I think you've done a fantastic job at that.
Thank you. Coming from you, that means a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
He's going to sign my book one day.
When is your book coming out?
I've this weekend went to the Drakensberg, and isn't that a place to just like get the mind open, fresh air? And I've got the framework, and I'm starting.
Can you reveal a working title?
Working title, Fix Your Shit.
Is that like a S hashtag exclamation
you have to
T?
wait to see, but I am going to revolt against the system. That's what I can tell you.
So what's the premise currently? What are you thinking?
I think the important thing is that I think we need to cut the crap. I think we need to really start thinking bigger, but put our money where our mouths are, and really start co-actioning rather than just saying, oh my gosh, we are doing this and we're standing for this and we're not doing it. And I'm getting tired of the word digital transformation being built on old-fashioned business models. I call it faux transformation. And I really want to challenge that. And once again, it might not be a book for everybody. But it's things that's dear to my heart, because I think money paralyzes people to think clearly. And I think that's the biggest challenge that's happening, is we're chasing the new, expecting different results. And because we're chasing new, it's short-lived, and we're not chasing value. And that is something I really want to challenge.
That's great. I love that sentiment, because it's very easy to be romanced by the numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, the other thing to say is that I was on Christopher Lockhead's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about how value has fundamentally changed in the sense that, historically it was about short-term profits. How can I be as profitable as quickly as fast as possible? And thanks to disruptive companies, and I'm using that word deliberately, Amazon, Uber, Airbnb, etc. But essentially, all these companies have figured out the secret, and the secret is data, algorithms, and AI. And that is a long-term pursuit. It's essentially saying that you're going to forego short-term profits and you're going to pursue vision and growth.
Correct. Yeah, but don't you... this is something I would like to ask you as the expert here in the room. Don't you find that AI is completely misconceived by a lot of people? Like, AI is plural. AI is not a chatbot. Or, I talk about chatbot as being something very different from AI, but AI is the group name for chatbot, machine learning, Yeah. And I feel that I call it cliche flexing. There's a lot of cliche flexing happening, and people are talking about all these things but don't know what it really means.
Yeah. I think people have a warped perception about what AI is.
Correct.
And in fact, they actually stop at Siri.
Yeah.
Hey, Siri.
I stop with Alexa.
Hey, Siri. Actually,
no, Alexa is just hey, she blew up.
Yes, she is. She's going to say something.
Sorry, Jeff Bezos. It wasn't Amazon's fault.
She said, there you go. I'm not sure I understand. That's dumb, right? Anyway, but it's like
Find the Matt Brown show. Siri.
Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. Okay.
Play the Matt Brown show.
I mean, that's insane.
That is just insane.
How can you not find anything for the Matt Brown show? What's wrong with you, woman? But anyway.
She's not a woman. I just had to start
she's
there.
AI, right? but I agree with you entirely. It's like, people have had dumb experiences with AI traditionally, and there is that school of thought. And then the other one is, well, do you use Waze? Did you get to Waze this morning?
Yeah.
And by the way, the more people that use Waze, the smarter it gets. It's hence why it's able to do real-time directions. In other words, if you go here, it's going to be plus 2 minutes. If you go there, it's plus 90 seconds.
100. And it's real time.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is, what I always like to say to my clients is that we need to understand that average is not good enough anymore, because we know that the technology can do it. So if I use Google Maps, or I can use Waze. What did I do?
It's fine, you're forgiven.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't know who I have to apologize to. Everybody, the audience. But I mean, from my perspective, and also the approach that we follow, which is the connected marketer, is it's very important to understand that we are dealing with the connected individual that understands what technology can do for them. And because they can understand what technology can do for them, that if you're not doing that, you are not in the inner game of business, if I can put it that much. Sorry, I had to steal the title and just
fine.
bring
So
it in.
your inner game is available nationwide in all your favorite bookstores. It is also available for my international viewers on Amazon. You'll be able to find it there.
Amazon. Yeah. You know when I do that laughing and goes, that dip down. Yeah, but I mean, that's it.
So you mentioned money. So let's do quote of the day. Take us through this one.
A principle isn't a principle until it costs you money.
Who said that? Bill what?
Bill Bernbach.
What's
that about?
A principle isn't a principle until it costs you money.
Yeah, think about it. I can say I stand for women empowerment, but if I'm not paying the women equally in my organization, I'm not putting my money where my mouth is, right? Yeah, I got a bell.
You got your first bell.
My first bell. She's like, what is the par that I need to get? But I mean, you know what I mean. And I think it's time for businesses, and that's where the premise of my book that I'm planning is. It is really, really time that we need to revolt against the system, if I can put it that way. We can't live in this world anymore where we say things. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. If you guys remember the fearless girl standing in New York at the Bull.
Yes, the Bull. Yeah.
So the company on Women's Day launched this statue. It was 2 or 3 years ago. Launched the statue all about women empowerment, and women are fearless. Wada. So they do this, and the next The next day, it just started going moggy, and all across the world, everybody's talking about this fearless girl, only to find out later that there was a $5 million lawsuit happening at the back end because they're not paying their staff equally. How can you make such a bold statement and not pay equally? And it's not just being equal. It's just, I mean, you've probably never noticed or experienced, but if I step into a business meeting and I have a superior or international representative of my company with me, the focus goes completely to that person. It's like I'm invisible in the room, and
because they're international
and they're foreign and so forth, and I am one of those people that I will make sure that you notice me. I will not be quiet. And I'm one of those people when I'm in a meeting, I believe that not to try and be arrogant or to be obnoxious or anything, but I have a voice. I am an intelligent woman. I know what I'm talking about, and I can say and think and have an opinion.
Mm-hmm. And you fucking should have one.
Yeah, and I think that's. I have to tell you, Matt, it's like, I think what you're doing here is amazing, especially Women of Steel, because I think women empowerment, this Women's Day thing that happens every year.
Which is today, Women's Day.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Women's Day is every freaking day.
It should be.
Listen, but every freaking day.
But just explain to, when you first started talking, you basically used the word cliche, but as it relates to women empowerment. What is the cliche now? What do we need to change, and kind of what is the step change as it relates to the whole narrative around women empowerment, etc.?
I think what happens, of no fault of businesses, you know, it's just the way the system works. It's like, okay, now we're planning our content strategy. Oh my goodness, look, Women's Day is coming up. We need to be vocal. We need to set up training courses. We need to do all of these things, which is great. But then is your backyard clean? You know, I'm like, if you want to be bold and you want to say, okay, right, I want to be part of this conversation and I want to do something, then do something about it. It's no longer about co-creation. It's about co-action. It is about what am I doing and what are we doing together? But at the same time, as I also feel that we're moving into an era, there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed from the past. And until that is not resolved, we cannot fix equality in gender. We can't fix our businesses, and we're not going to make money because women have something that men don't have that they can bring to the table. We are nurturers, we are creative, and we have different things that merges beautifully with what men bring to the table. And my one thing you'll always hear me say is we cannot ostracize men. It's time to take each other's hands and walk together into the future and co-create and co-act on what we believe in. But we cannot do it just for the sake of doing it because it's on a calendar. I just find it very, I'm trying to find the word. Condescending is not the word. I almost find it patronizing.
Yeah, it's a good word to use. Second bell of the day. Well done. But I like...
Can I say this? I am a bit of a tech bite, but today I'm a woman bite. Okay, sorry.
But I love what you're saying around, you know, not marginalizing anyone, you know, and it's quite easy to go too far, if that is even possible. I mean, I'm probably going to upset a few people, but it's about, I want to touch on the thing around co-creating, because it's about walking together, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman or black, white, yellow, green, pink, purple, red, but about walking together in an equal fashion to create a better life for all. And I think there's a number of different things that happen, you know, as a result of, you know, Me Too, women empowerment, etc. One is that men feel threatened. They don't know how to deal with this. And there's some amazing work being done by Gavin Moffat's and His and Hers. Helping,
oh, yes, I love them.
Helping, you know, literally, just like you and me, but in a corporate setting, communicate.
Yeah.
This is, you know what I'm saying, like, and how to create a great chemistry in a culture as a result of that.
Yeah.
And then there's other things around, like, well, how do you know when we're there? And whose responsibility is it to know?
It's a bell.
I'm going to ring my bell.
That's a bell. That's a good one.
You understand? Like, it's
yeah.
how do you know when you're there? And also, if you want equality, surely you should just take it as an ambition, obviously acknowledging, of course, that there are historical prejudices which also need to be addressed, right? So, but at some point, as an individual woman listening to us right now, who's very much feeling marginalized, and regardless of what her context might be, what are your words to her?
My words would be, we all suffer from imposter syndrome. It's not just a girl's thing, it's a male thing too. And some of the greatest men, and trust me, I have some giants that I align myself with, also have imposter syndrome. And I think it's important for women out there, if you're not getting equality and if you're not getting the respect that you deserve, you need to go and do soul searching and look within yourself and see what you can change to make that a priority in your life. Therefore, I encourage women to go out, start your own business. If you're not getting paid enough at a corporate, create your own business and come like the silver bullet thief in the night and fix what's broken. Yeah. Fix your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a cause, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's this, and this, I love what you said, and I'd like to add to that in the sense that, and I write about this to some extent in the book, but it's about you get two types of people. You get those who live at cause and those who live at effect. The effect woman, in the context of this conversation in this particular series, Women of Steel, is that I can't change anything. The system is built the way that it is. And therefore this is the way it's going to be for my life, and I'm maybe my daughter will experience a different world, and that's my hope, and it's only hope.
I have a problem with that, and
me too.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to mention names or the relations with the people, but there's a few people in my family that would say, for example, you're doing so well because you're born in a different generation. But for us, it's about we need a husband that can bring in the money, and our role as women is to be mothers and whatever. Okay, the kids are all out of the house. Okay, so why are you expecting in this time and age of a husband to take care of you? Have your own independence. Stop being a martyr. Stop being a victim. Shit has changed around you. It's actually in your favor. And what you need to do is to get out of that victim mentality. Sorry, the Afrikaans. Sorry. Afrikaans. No, because we've got an international audience. But listen, I love that because I create my own words. They call it in Afrikaans Anglicisme. What do you call it in English?
Anglicisme.
It's when you take an English word and you make it an Afrikaans word. It's the weirdest thing. Okay. Like when I just translate it into whatever I think.
Did you say Anglicisme?
But I think that, we really need to become victorious and celebrate each other. But I'm also gonna say one thing, is that women have been contaminated culturally by competing with one another because of the patriarch regime. So we were told, if you're not beautiful enough and if you can just be replaced. I can have 10 affairs with I don't care if I have children with you. I can have affairs because I bring the money into the house. And that has been a thing that has been happening for many, many, many years. It's almost like women are replaceable, but men are not. And women have started like building this mentality of competing with one another, and that is something where we have to really fix this problem very, very quickly, because instead of being in a place of power where we can become women of steel and rising each other up and build an empire and make shit happen, we see a lot of tendencies of bitchiness happening and putting each other down and not rising women and mentoring them and becoming powerful. It's almost like you do find some women that go up there and destroy everything in their way. And I think that that's something that definitely needs intervention.
I agree. This kind of touches on the cause side of things, right? So I was from a cause and effect. Where do you think that sort of competitive dynamic comes from in the context of the historical patriarchy regime? So There's a man who's, successful, he's got money or whatever, and then, you've got multiple women kind of competing. I don't know. Can you unpack that a little bit more? Maybe I misunderstood.
Okay,
that.
so there's some documentaries you can go and watch on Netflix about the civil rights movement and the feminist movement. For your audiences, I can't remember the exact episodes. I can share the links with you, maybe. But they really empower you to share how it all started. So, like if you think in the 50s and 60s, women were asked to, you had to, when your husband arrived, you had to be in the sexiest lingerie, you had to be pinned up, serve the meal, and you had to be like this perfect human being. And when he's pissed off or he treats you like shit, you just have to smile and wave and like everything is okay. You're not allowed to show emotion, otherwise you are emotional. And you always had to look like an accessory rather than being an individual for who you are.
Okay.
And then women eventually started being competed against each other. I don't look, and we still see that today. And men are also starting to suffer from this because I don't look like that Photoshop version on the magazine. Women have been objects in advertising for many, 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 many years, and we still see it happening. And women feel like, oh my gosh, I need to look pretty and beautiful. And then when they see a pretty strong woman walking into a room, what happens? I'm Imposter Syndrome. I feel inferior. She's a threat to me. And that is where that started because of the patriarch regime. Now, if you go back, and this is something, guys, I mean, this is serious stuff. Have you watched the movie Hidden Figures?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a booyah.
Booyah.
Okay. So Hidden Figures is just one example, right? It's a great movie of how women were the minds, and they weren't even allowed to put their names on documents to say that they came up with the mathematical solution or how to work the IBM machine, how to get the man to the moon. They figured it all out, but they were not allowed to say, hey, it was me, and put their name on the documents. And then obviously I'm not going to give the story away for those who haven't watched it, but there's a book, I think it's The History of Women, that was banned in the 70s about all of the things that women, from poetry and everything that they have done, that has been burnt and deleted out of history.
Really?
And this is why I always say there's always chaos where there's ignorance. And people won't understand why we have Women's Day is when we have been completely depleted from our existence. I mean, you go into these beautiful art galleries and you don't see the historical females that's done it. Or there's so many documentaries and movies about real life situations where women painted this beautiful. What was that? The lady with the red hair. She painted these. She painted these portraits with the big eyes, and then her husband pretended he did it.
I don't remember that one.
I can't remember, but I mean, like all of these things happened, and during the civil rights movement, women actually weren't entitled. Okay, women weren't entitled to vote; they weren't entitled to be educated, and during that time, women that did have PhDs burnt it because when they were doing their PhDs, they found that there were no women in history that they could cover. And this is where the civil rights movement started, where people burnt their PhDs, during that movement. And I mean, I think in order to embrace, and yes, it makes, I mean, one of the guests that I'm going to have on my show soon is going to rattle the cages and make a lot of people uncomfortable. But it's time we get uncomfortable because that's where growth happens.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. It's kind of like you no longer need to meet the expectations of the patriarchy regime because you are by nature equal.
Yeah.
You're born equal.
Yeah.
It's only the system that makes you think that you're not worthy of being equal. And because you're not worthy of being equal, therefore you feel like you need to compete unnecessarily or become something that you're not.
100%.
So in other words, you're not living one's true authentic self. You know what I mean? Or you're not living your own life authentically, which is the ultimate gift you can ever give yourself.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have to tell you a very personal story, right? So I am a crazy person. I mean, like, people know me, like, I'm full of energy and I do my thing and I say what I think and no filter. Sometimes it drives people crazy, but I really am authentic in my message and what I say. But what I started doing without noticing it is I started dressing in a way to fit into a man's world.
Really?
Yeah. So I would be very cash and so forth. And I had this lady, her name is Sky Mendes. She's amazing. She's a stylist. She actually had stage 4 cancer, almost died. She had the death sentence over her, and 9 years later, she's changed her whole life around. And she does almost this healing with styling. It's weird. She's like a stylist whisperer. I don't know, but I still have to face what's coming my way when she gets into my cupboard, because that's the one. It's like she comes in your cupboard, finds out what's your style, personality, and then help to style you so that you can project yourself. And one thing that she said to me that was so powerful is that in a man's world, in the world of masculinity, I must embrace my femininity, because what I'm doing is I'm dressing to fit into a man's world to be taken seriously. But I must actually, and I mean, that's a very deep thing to know about me, because you could use that against me, but is to embrace my femininity for who I am and know that that is enough. I don't need to dress the way that's socially acceptable to fit into this world. I'm me.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's a very powerful thing. The thing is, people find that very hard to identify internally, because, as you said, I'm going to share a very personal story. That it's a very personal journey. Do you understand? Like, and also like with Matt Brown show and your inner game. By the way, talking about this imposter syndrome thing, holy shit! I still have imposter syndrome? It's
but
like,
well done for saying that, because people think you have no
way, dude.
Everybody has it.
No way. I mean, when I signed the deal, it took me 9 months to write a single word. That's crazy. So I had my publisher going, "Where's the fucking book? It should be done." And I'm like, no, it's in my head. It's coming. And then, but it was all about and even to this day, I'm scared shitless about the fact that, inside this book are words, right, that will hold me prisoner to who I was at the time of publishing. So also understanding that, again, going back to this whole idea of personal transformation and personal journeys, is that I can guarantee you that when I'm 50 and I've just turned 40, when I read this book in 10 years' time, and I haven't read it all, I'll read these words and go, what the fuck was I writing about?
No.
Do you understand? Or not like, but that's the imposter syndrome in me that makes me say that. So the imposter syndrome, it's like celebrities have it, famous people have it, movie stars have it, authors have it. It's like you live with this idea of you being a fraud based on the work that you put out there. And it's weird because, like, if we produce so much content here and it goes out all the time, that like that shit will just like, if people see it, they see it. They don't see it, it's fine. Like, it's gone. But with a book, it sits there forever. It's like my kids will read this, and their kids will read this, and so on and so forth. And there's this idea that you're like, it's like you're not worthy of having achieved the things that you have achieved. And it's weird. Like when Nadine Todd, the editor of Entrepreneur Mag, she
she's amazing. Yeah.
She messaged me and she was like, "Oh mate, you must be so proud of yourself." And I was like, I don't ever get proud. And it's a weird thing because pride is like a double-edged sword. It's nice to feel proud of something. I can go, fuck yes, you're in a game, 12 principles for impact entrepreneurs, made the recommended reads list at exclusive books nationwide before the book was even launched officially. And I could be proud of that. And I should be proud of that. But it's like, for me personally, and this is all a very personal thing, is that I feel that if I ever feel like I'm successful, I'm not. Does it make sense? It's like, and understanding that and being aware of that makes me always want to overachieve. It's like I'm like, the book for me it's already done. It's like I'm thinking about book number 2 already. I already have a title for that, because it's not enough. It's never successful. It's like, I don't know anyone who other people would say are successful who think of themselves as being successful. Do you understand?
I totally.
It's like an innate, and it's a character thing, and it's a personality thing, and it's all this whole thing. And the reason why I'm telling all of this, because it connects strongly back to what you were saying around this whole idea of personal journey and being able to say, well, the fact that you even are wanting to write a book says volumes about your self-belief.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, it's like we were going to get into the personal branding space some time ago, and the first question I would say to someone was, what book are you writing in 12 months' time, and what's the title? Because it's a question, and questions govern our lives far more than what we care to admit.
I love that.
And if you ask the right questions, you start to get very fucking clear around one's true identity. And identity is the strongest force in humanity. It's people will go to war over that shit. People will kill 36 people in El Paso, Texas, because of identity. And so when you manipulate someone's identity and communities of identities, right, that's when shit either goes really right or really wrong. And so understanding that, then you say to yourself, well, what is that book actually for me? You know, and yours is fix your shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is what makes you different. But it's about understanding that you have to ask the right questions to start getting to the truth about what makes you different. And my personal view is that then and only then can you truly express your value.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, I read that quote the other day that the smart people have the answers, but the most intelligent people have the right questions. And I think the questions that you need to ask is so, so important. I'm going to say something on here just to give context, and I tiptoe around this topic because it's very personal. I had a year from hell. Okay.
What, this last year?
This last year, and not with Booyah. Booyah is great, and Booyah is thriving. But apart from, my mother used to be my best friend. We were like bum cheeks, and I used to call her every single day, and I used to have a conversation and stuff. And she literally just one day had 4 strokes after the other, and it went through her brain. And having a mom that was perfect, the next day, it's like a 5-year-old. She has no the thing that made her so beautiful was her cognitive ability. And for me, it's a daily suffering of going through knowing that the mom that I'm going to see, the mom that I'm talking to, is not the person. She's halfway in another place. So I don't want to get emotional about this. And I also found out who my sexual predator was when I was 3 years old. And these things came up through psychology, and I could not remember anything about my life up until 7, 8 years old. And I had 2 sexual predators. And the one, and the thing is like, I remember when the second one happened, I don't want to name names, but when that happened to me, when we went to the police station, when my mom found out, my mom was also raped at the age of 12 years old. The whole family has suffered sexual abuse and so forth. And I have utmost respect for my family that has gone through this. And it's just been a layer upon a layer upon a layer. And I've been hesitant. Should I talk about this? Should I not? But I think it's an important message out there for women. But what I'm trying to get to is that when I found out these things, it's almost like my whole memory opened up last year, and I started remembering shit. And little triggers. And emotionally, I just went like, oh my God, I can't handle this. It's just too much. Like, oh my God, I'm 40 years old. I'm not supposed to deal with this shit. I've got a new business. Like, you know, and you go through all of these emotions. And one thing that I have to tell you is like, I'm now at a point where I'm like, you damn fool. You should question everything. I never questioned everything. I always accepted the answers I was always given. Oh, I was trying to tell you about the police station. When we went to the police station, one of the things was I was told I either have to tell the person who's married to the persecutor, or the person that did it to me, or I can take it to the police. But if I take it to the police, we're going to go to court, and I'm not going to win. It's going to be said that I brought it on. So I already grew up with this thing about not trusting people and being very skeptical about people, but also because of that, I've questioned the wrong things in life and not the right things. And now I'm at that age where fix your shit is also to do with me as a person and getting myself in order, because I can't live like this for the rest of my 40 years, but also in business, there's a lot of shit that we need to fix. But what I'm trying to say is that beautiful flowers grow in shit. And isn't that the best fertilizer, right? So, can you see how this is tying up?
Uh-huh.
You're the first one to know.
Come here.
I'm gonna get emotional. Stop.
Well,
I'm supposed to be happy.
that's my first hug live on the Matt Brown Show. But thank you for sharing it. And just to sort of applaud you for your courage. I think a lot of people don't ever really face up to their own truth. They feel like if they do, they will the stuff. It's too much. I don't want. I'm too. Excuses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm too old, or I've moved on now. Like, it's all in the past. I shouldn't have to deal with that stuff. Why must I dig up the past? You understand? And that's fine. Everyone's ultimately going to choose what's right for them. But my experience is that people who do choose to fully explore their story, which is completely fucking unique to you and every other 7 of the 7 billion human beings on planet Earth, their unique experience have made them unique. And as a result, there are things in your head, beliefs, about self-worth, talking your story around sexual predators and stuff like that. I mean, that's just fucking horrendous. But the fact is that is what makes you you. And the fact that you had that horrific year last year has led you to this idea for a book. Makes sense. So,
yeah,
but
totally.
you have to, and that's why the book is called Your Inner Game, because it's about having the courage to overcome things that have happened to you. And this goes back to cause and effect. You're either at effect, so I'm going to be the victim my entire life and I'm not worthy and I'm never going to be equal and blah, 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 blah. Or I'm going to be at cause. You know what? I'm going to face up to this shit and I'm going to, take this guy. Whatever you decide to do is enough. Do you understand? Like, whether you go to his partner or whether you take, whatever you decide to do will be enough for you. But the fact is that you made that call. You became self-aware. And when you become self-aware, you have bandwidth to make new decisions, right? And that's where transformation starts. It's the seeds, to your point. It's where flowers fucking grow, because they grow from shit. And the other thing to say is that, you pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. You understand? Like, you're either going to pick the struggle of being a victim or you're going to pick the struggle of being a victor. Either way, you have to fall in love with the struggle. So pick something.
Yeah.
But the thing
so
is,
true.
like, most people, I should say, if I go back, most human beings don't choose. They just meander. And
so true.
And that's where mediocrity breeds, and it becomes a self-fulfilling thing, because kids see their parents being mediocre, not taking that risk, not leaving that abusive relationship, not starting that business, not writing that book. And then, on your deathbed, you look back and you say to yourself, and I write about this, about regret. It's that, you don't regret the chances you took. You regret the chances you didn't take.
Correct.
And you only have one life.
Correct.
And people it's like you have to think about the realities of death.
Yeah.
Like, when you're born, your death is intimately entwined in that. And so think about when you die. Like, what are they saying about you at your funeral?
Yeah.
Like, what are they saying that, Carmen Murray, like, really wrote that book about fix your shit, and she was open and honest about, her this awful tragedy that happened to her when she was a young girl. Like, Lesego Zulu, who was on the show, and her husband, the racing driver guy.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Gugu. He was killed on Mount Kilimanjaro. She wrote a book about it. She was open to her truth. And as painful as that was, that particular struggle, she did it anyway. You know what I'm saying? She had the character to do that thing and to overcome that thing and to put the words on a fucking paper. And now she's speaking, people are reaching out to her because she's sharing this pain. And when she shared this pain, other people start to resonate with that. And then they go, you know what? I haven't had the courage, and thank you, because the fact that you had that courage and you wrote that book and you faced up to your own story, right, and you expressed it from a place of power, a place of cause, not at effect. The fact that you did that has made me believe that I can do that too.
And I think what you're saying is so true, and I think what it's a decision that you now need to make is like, be the truest version of yourself, and the only way you can become the truest version of yourself is being really honest, and stop fearing the consequence, because there's a lot of people I have to protect through the process, and I have to protect other people's views and stories of how that happened to them, and their views and stuff like that. So for me, I just feel that the time is right, the soil has been set in my life to start planting the seed, and hopefully if I can just touch one person's life through that, amazing. But the book that I'm planning is going to be lighthearted. I don't want it to go into like, oh my God. Like it really is just all about the different shits in life that we need to fix and own up to and take responsibility for and recognize. I mean, I'm going to give you an example, and we're moving away from this heavy topic. Jeez, like I feel like I'm a counselor.
Rapt attention here.
But I mean, like, I mean, what is your views about what the hell is going on in corporates at the moment? Like this bullying that's happening with people. People are having mental breakdowns. People are wanting to commit suicide because of the way that people are being treated at work. And then out there we say, oh, we have a mental health day. Oh, mental wellness, my ass. I have like 20 people going through this, like, and it's like, this is one of the fundamentals that needs to be sorted out in society. Is we need to get to a point where enough is enough. Own up, put your money where your mouth is. Where's that quote?
This one here.
A principle isn't a principle until it costs you money. Send your people for counseling and get rid of the people that are contaminating the culture of the business. That's all I want to say. I got 3 balls!
Three gold
and you got
stars.
one. First hug. But I think also there was something I wrote down here. You wrote about procrastination. Oh, you spoke about procrastination, like, when you're writing your book. And I don't know if you've ever read the book Originals.
Yes.
So they talk about how creativity actually stems from procrastination. Sorry, just pronunciation. But I mean, but it's, I could, like, where is Eminem? Come.
I need to soundproof this room. It echoes.
Listen, you're never ever going to get a boring show with Matt and I. What if we write? Where's my name?
Where is your signature, actually?
My friend, Bronny Bron.
We'll find it.
We said something on the line like, always rock.
Always rock.
May the show live forever.
Next
the Matt and Murray hosting an event. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. But for me, creativity comes from constraint.
Elaborate.
So it's like we elaborate. Okay, I'm going to elaborate.
Elaborate. Collaborate and listen.
So imagine if you have all the space in the world to think creatively. When you have too much space, you can't channel your thinking. And in other words, it's like you can swim in that massive lake in any direction. But now you put a very narrow swim lanes on that same lake. You're forced to channel your thinking creatively and your execution creatively to get from A to B. So we're creating a pretty rad product, and can't say anything obviously, but basically it's going to change the game for B2B. Lead generation, that kind of thing, and the team were like, I was like, yeah, but go here, as thinking, and they were like, but that's hard. It's hard, and I was like, yeah, but that's called the theory of constraints. It's where all great thinking comes from. It's because when you're constrained, massively constrained. Let's put a man on Mars. You understand? Like
all your goals are aligned to make that happen.
yeah, you have to think completely differently. And that's the thing. It's about unlocking new paradigms requires a complete step change in thinking. Right. And so you should be embracing constraints. And it's with the same thing with this book. You know, I didn't write a single word for 9 months. And then it was, Matt, you've got 8 weeks, sort of thing. And then it was like, great. Now I have constraints. So constraint also forces execution because you don't feel like there's enough time, right, to do things. So now you must execute. It's like if I say you've got a week to do something or 1 hour, what are you going to do?
You're going to make it happen?
You're going to make it happen differently. Yeah. You're going to think differently about that same problem. So it's all about constraints. And anyway, so I believe great creativity comes from constraints.
So I know you're not on my show yet, but I would like to have you on my show. We can unpack this book, obviously, after I've read it. But what I want to ask you is, for my own journey, just to understand, is like, okay, so 9 months later, you decide, I'm going to start today. Tell me, what was that process like? Did you constrain yourself to in a certain environment? What was it all about?
Well, literally the thing that in that 9 month period, I was trying to figure out who I was.
Wow.
Who I actually was.
Wow.
Or at least, like, you don't really get, okay, no, I'm definitely that guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's me forever. Like, you never get there. But just to have a sense that, like, you're talking about the seeds, like, I needed to figure out what was my shit soil. Do you know what I mean? To grow that flower. And so, because a book has to be from you. It can't be about some other shit that you read. It has to come from you, because that's when flow happens. And you can write, 5,000 words versus 500. And you don't know, you're like, holy shit, I just wrote 5,000 words.
Sure.
Because it came from you. Stories, people, memories, events, who you were before, who were you, who did you become after the fact, and being able to process those things. And it's emotion, right? So emotion drives action. So I didn't know who that person was. I didn't know where to start. And I wanted the book above all else not to only be about me, but also to be about to be about other people. So the book actually has got very little to do with me. In fact, it's kind of like 50-50. It's got 50% to do with the people I've had on the show, and the other 50%, I would say, it's probably not even that high, is actually about me and my journey. But it's the human stories for an exponential time. But it's human stories, and humans are emotional creatures, right?
I love this. And just looking briefly at what I'm seeing is also, it's storytelling. It's storytelling.
Totally.
And the thing is, like, there's nothing, I can't read academic books, so kudos to you, because storytelling is it takes effort.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I just spoke to my sister yesterday on WhatsApp, and I said, have you finished reading the book? Because now I'm like freaking out because what if family judge me, Imposter Syndrome, you know what I mean? And she was like, yeah, it's totally you.
Oh, I love it.
You see, and I was like, well, there you go. That's the greatest
Even
feedback,
this, but
right?
I mean, like, look, hello.
Yeah.
Everything, like, it's integrated, and that's what I love. I love it.
Carmen, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
This women empowerment thing, why does it matter?
It matters because
you. Why does it matter to you?
It matters because I want everybody to get along, be a united front, join hands, and embrace each other's cultures, embrace each other's beliefs and how they identify with themselves, and deal with real problems in life rather than what has been manipulated by religions and systems and things like that. Let's get on with being human and do what we're supposed to do, is love one another and have purpose and do what you're supposed to do on this planet.
Carmen Murray, everybody.